The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, and welcome to the Shadows and Stardust podcast. I am your host, Andrea Jane, and tonight I have a very special guest here with me, a very dear friend of mine. She goes by laurabeth, and she is an amazing medium. So please join me in welcoming her to our show tonight. How are you doing, laurabeth?
I'm well. How are you, dear?
Good. So happy to have you here finally.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And you have such an amazing talent. You're a medium. And a lot of people have so many questions for mediums. And I think that it's just wonderful that I have you here with me tonight to kind of go over some of those questions that we hear a lot. And I'd love to get your input and insight and share it out there. So tell us what it's like.
Well, I am an evidential forensic medium, so I like to always validate by getting either the family or somebody that knows the energy that I'm connecting with to confirm essentially things that nobody would know except them to prove who I'm speaking with before moving on. But like I also said, my forte is forensics, so I like to actually work with the deceased who are missing or also need to be found or need to have their story told to their family to give them closure. But I'm still able to connect with anybody, even if it's outside of the forensic realm.
That's amazing. That's a really difficult area of mediumship to be involved with as well. I commend you for being able to work in that manner as a medium.
Yeah, it is. It can sometimes be discouraging, but at the end, it can be very rewarding helping family find their loved ones and getting closure.
Right. It's definitely it's definitely not an easy thing to do, and it's something that I think is really needed. And I think it's great that you found areas to connect with that appreciate and respect your service and allow you to practice, because that's an amazing accomplishment as well. How do you open your gift? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. I was just going to say that I agree, with that statement, but go ahead.
Yeah. How do you prepare for that? Like, how do you open up to get into a place where you can be confident enough to put your energy into something so intense like that?
Well, that's where I rely heavily on the evidential first of all, but as far as preparing myself, I kind of give myself, if I know that I'm going to be working with somebody in a lengthy amount of time, like I have a week to prepare, I will go ahead and start almost like going into a trance and allowing the energy or the person that I'm trying to connect with to take over and let me live essentially in their eyes as a firsthand of like, this is what I saw, this is where I'm at, this is what I smell, hear, taste, this is who I'm with. And then when it gets closer to time, I can start to feel that I'm becoming closer to what the truth is, because I'll get more anxiety, and then I'll just get really excited, and then actually being able to talk to the family, it's like all this ball of energy that I've been holding on to, preparing to talk to the family or talk to whoever is needing these questions answered. It's a big ball of release of energy that I'm just so excited that somebody can actually hear my story, but not my story, the story that I'm being told firsthand from the person that I'm connecting with.
Now, are you able to see and hear, or I guess, what are your clairs is the question I'm asking.
I use all of my clairs. If I was to tell you which one I have a heightened sense over the other one, it would just be the knowing, but I'm able to hear, see, smell, taste, and experience everything that they experience firsthand. So if they had a stroke, I will have a bad headache, I'll have blurred vision. If somebody is trying to manifest themselves in front of me, I will see them. But also, as you know yourself, that depending on how much energy that they have, they may look like a big old fog to a full-blown black shadow.
Yeah. That's a lot to have everything on at the same time. I've been there and I understand what that's like. Do you have the ability to shut them off as well? Like, can you control the senses that you are using when you're working with any spirit or?
In the beginning, no, I was not able to control these, so I had to turn to alternate methods to protect myself. But I have gotten to now, after doing it for a little bit of time, that I have been able to call on guides. I work strongly with Archangel Michael, Raphael, and Ezekiel. And then I obviously work with my ancestors and guides and Father Sky, Mother Earth in the corners to help protect me. And then we also have an agreement with my spiritual team that when I'm allowing myself to be open up, that they have a contractual understanding of what my limits are and to hold back if it's something that is not for my higher good.
That's good. So you're protected. Like, you have it all planned out. Like, when you go into any of this, whether it's in person or virtual or however it is. Do you use any other sort of protection? Like, are you into like using any type of crystals for protections or anything physical that like is in this realm?
Yes, I do work with crystals, and I do still have my faith in Christianity, and I'm Catholic, so I do have the rosary with me. And then I also use herbs, holy water. Um, as I'm looking at a bunch of crystals, the main crystal that I've always worked with, and I usually almost like never leave home without it, is going to be the black tourmaline, and that was just my ride or die in the beginning of getting started. So I have like a special place for that crystal in my heart.
I love tourmaline too.
But as I've gotten more comfortable in my gift and just being able to say that I'm a medium, because it used to be like, oh,
Yeah.
like, I didn't believe it. So the stronger that I've got into it, I've started looking into more of what crystals are. So for example, I just recently got some fluoride, raw fluoride crystal earrings to help, protect my crown and open up my third eye more when I do readings. So it
Yeah.
depends on what I'm needing and feeling for that particular reading.
Fluoride's a really cool stone. I love the different variations of those colors. I think that's a great stone for you to have too. It's a very powerful one, and it actually helps. It helps with psychic work, and I think that's actually a great topic I wanted to chat with you about. And I think we'll circle back here into mediumship. But you mentioned to me that you're a medium, but you're not a psychic, and there's a lot of different opinions about that. Like, I've heard, well, everybody's a psychic, or you can't be a psychic without being a medium, or vice versa.
Right.
What's your take on that?
So my personal take on that, because I do not identify myself as a psychic, and I am clearly just a medium. Now there are people, again, this is my point of view and my thoughts on the duality of both of them, is that there's the difference in psychic and medium. You can be a psychic, you can be a medium, you can be a psychic and a medium, but is everybody a psychic and medium? No. Do we all have the accessibility to be able to hone into one or the other or both? Yes. But my point of view as far as the psychic is them telling the story from a third person point of view, whereas a medium, we're telling the story from a first hand experience. And
That's a good point.
as far as psychics, my point of view is that they're sensitive to the environmental forces of the mind and body and soul, whereas for me, mediumship or mediums are sensitive to the medium state or the medium of the ether of the mind, body, and soul, and the energy of the life now and in the afterlife. So it's almost like the psychics are more of being able to hone into the now and future, where mediums to me, it's now and the past.
Right. No, that makes sense. I see where you're coming from with that, and it's interesting. I think for me, when somebody makes a comment to me and says, "Oh, you're a psychic," for me, I'm like, and so are you. Like, we all have the ability to have the energy of being psychic. And I'm like using those quotation marks because it's turned into such a like label sometimes where it's just taken out of its authenticity of what psychic actually means. And that's usually my response. And I feel like anybody that's tapped into themselves intuitively and understands their energy to a point where you can understand the energy around you can have that ability. And it's definitely a stressful thing sometimes, but you want to be confident with it. I feel like a lot of people might second guess themselves if you had a feeling in your gut something was going to happen. If you went out and it turned into a bad day. It's like, that's kind of what psychic is. It's like you kind of had a feeling of something not right. That's your intuitiveness, huh?
Oh God, today's gonna be awful.
Yeah. I mean, it's relevant, to that word. But anyways, thank you for explaining that because I think that was actually that was a thorough explanation and it makes complete sense. So what got you into, I guess, mediumship in the first place, or how did you discover you were a medium, rather?
Well, I really didn't have the option to choose. It kind of happened at once. The saying is true. Once you hit rock bottom and you think you have nothing to live for, the universe will show you you have something to live for. Now, whether you're going to use it and grow with it or you're going to use it and end it, is where I had no choice. I didn't want to end it and I didn't want to not be here anymore. So, the universe said, "Here, we're going to show you something." I said, "All right, hold my beer. Here we go." But I didn't have the option. I remember the ball dropping on January 1st. It was New Year's Eve going into 2020. And we can all remember what happened in 2020. But um, I didn't have a choice. Right as soon as the ball dropped in New York, there was a bang on my front door. And it scared the piss out of me and my dog. It startled him, so I know that he heard it because he got up and ran to the door and started barking, and it just terrified me. So I ended up calling the cops, and I was like, "There's somebody at my door trying to get in. I have a storm door with a big heavy lock on it, and it's also locked on the second door, and I had an alarm system." And I was like, "There is somebody at my door trying to get in, and if somebody doesn't get over here and they get in, it's not gonna go well for them." I said, "I
Yeah.
need the police to see me. I need them to come talk to me because right now I am shaking awful, some kind of awful." And
Mm.
so the cops show up and they knock on the door and they announce themselves like the previous knock did not. And I did open the door. I disabled the alarm and unlocked the two doors. And the cop was like, "What's going on, Miss Brock?" And I was like, "There was somebody trying to get into my house. I know that I heard it because my dog heard it. My dog reacted. We both reacted." And he said, "Where did you hear it?" And I said, "At the door that we're at right now." And it had just snowed like 3 inches of snow. He said, there's no footprints leading up to the door. I've just made these footprints. There's no footprints anywhere around on your side of the duplex. So we don't know how anybody could knock on your door. And they thought I was making it up. I was like, shut the fuck up. No, no. Uh-uh. I heard it. I heard it. So that was my green light. My guides were like, hey, you guys, y'all see that? She heard us. And then from then on, I started seeing full bodies. Like they started messing with my dog. I gave my dog a treat one time, and he turned around, and the treat was standing erect, straight up, and he was on the other side of the room looking at it and looking at me like, bro, something happened.
What did you do that Christmas?
What did I do that Christmas?
Yeah.
I
Did
think
you travel or go anywhere you never been?
This is where I had just started traveling, and come to find out, the place that I was in was South Bend, Indiana, where Touchdown Jesus is. I was right next door to Notre Dame, and apparently that's one of the hondest places in the U.S.
No, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So here I am seeing angry 24-year-old men that have been killed by a drunk driver running through my Airbnb from the bathroom to the cabinet, seeing this very tall, like 6'2" black gentleman in my backyard dressed in white walk through my fence. I really thought I was losing my shit. I would go to work and I would tell them, hey guys, if something happens to me, just know that I did not unalive myself. I did not do it myself.
Oh no, you were just in the right place at the right time. Spirits can sense a medium.
And so I was heavy in my Catholicism faith at that time. And so, I tried calling on God, and I would sleep with my rosary every night. And if anybody that's Catholic is listening and knows that that's not good to do, to wear your rosary. And I was wearing it. That's how scared I was. And I was praying the rosary every night, praying St. Michael, the Archangel prayer, calling on God. And I would wake up in the morning and these spirits would laugh at me and take the rosary off my wrist, and I would have it like with rubber bands, hair ties around my wrist to make sure that it was secured so that I could still have it on me. And then would wake up in the morning and find that the rosary was in a cute little pile on the pillow next to me every morning. So I was like, something's got to give. And I'd be taking showers, and I would feel a third hand help wash my hair.
Oh my God.
So
no.
They were
no.
I would wake up and I would have slap marks on my face. I would have scratches. Like they would pull.
Yeah. How did you?
It was awful. I'm very scared. It was a very alone, like my body was vibrating from the inside, and I did not know that that was a sign of anxiety, and I had never felt that before.
Yeah, that's not good. Were you able to exterminate?
I was able to start to get a hold on it. Like I ended up finding more help in the witchcraft community, and then I ended up meeting a friend whose name is Oracle of Apollo, and she helped me hone into my gift, and she's a medium as well as an oracle, and
Mm-hmm.
she helped me feel okay not being okay and not knowing what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And the witchcraft community helped me use things like herbs, prayers, salts, verbally setting boundaries with these little boogers.
Yeah.
That, you're not allowed to come in the bedroom. You're not allowed to come in the bathroom. Anywhere where I am unclothed and derobed and vulnerable, you are not allowed there. And started using salt, and just started feeling like either it was like hoopla, or what people would be like, oh, that's hogwash. It's just witchcraft. It was actually helping me and making me feel better that I was able to physically do something to get a grasp on life, to figure out what the fuck is going on,
Yeah. That's wild. So I'm really glad that you were able to open your mind and accept the witchcraft as an option and use it, and it helped, first of all. And I say that in all respects to all different beliefs and religions, but sometimes a lot of people will not go that route because they think it's like Satanism or something, and it's not. And it is helpful. And it is actually how my team works and is led when we do our investigations. And it is very effective. So I'm really glad it helped you. Secondly, damn, that's wild. Like, I I feel for you. That's a lot to go through. I've had some similar experiences. I'm also pretty scary myself if somebody crosses my boundaries, and I will obviously tell them to get the fuck out. And I've been in some situations like that where it has been very uncomfortable, and not to that extent though. So I feel for you, and I mean, it's now like 2024, and have you been able to secure your space?
I think I've secured it so much so that sometimes I question, am I still able to connect? Because
Good.
I guess so guarded or so, I know that working, because I do work in healthcare, that I do not allow anything to talk to me at work because obviously that's the place that a lot of souls, that is the last place that a lot of the souls see. So I do not allow myself to do that there
Right.
unless I know that something is going to happen there. So like if somebody's going to pass and I know that I'll be a little extra kinder, I'll stay a little bit longer, or I'll just try to be the last person that they see to make them smile or give them a little extra comfort because I know.
Yeah. Well, that's tough too because you're working close to death as well
Right.
in your industry. And I think you've really progressed a lot from what I know of you
Yeah.
in the last few years. Like, you have made a lot of progress in your dedication to your spiritual work has been amazing. Like, I see it. And it takes a lot of people that experience something like what you went through don't make it to this point to talk about it in this type of fashion and understand it, respect it, move on from it, and learn from it. And you
Because,
did.
yeah, a lot of people, like I said, will end it, and meaning ending themselves because they will go crazy or they will shut it off. And I think that I chose the middle ground.
Yeah. So, what's it like now for you to work with other people having these types of experiences?
Are you talking about on a client basis or like a personal spiritual relationship like you and I?
I guess both, but maybe with a client, um,
Well,
experiencing something that might be like a demonic entity or some something that they're in a situation where they're potentially being tormented or potentially feeling unsafe.
um, well, to touch on like the personal real quick with people such as you and I, it's almost like you get each other. And for example, I think you and I haven't literally talked in like a year, and we pick back up like it was yesterday that we talked. Like we have a
Right.
we have a soul family. So once
Yeah.
when you find your people, they're you can't get rid of them even if you want to, but they also get you when you're down because they've been in the same spot and they don't judge you. But as far as like
Right.
clients and working with them if they're being tortured, um, in the beginning, I had a really hard time of setting that boundary where their demons were not able to come and touch me. So I was doing a Facebook Live one time, and one came through and literally scratched me on my chest, and you can watch it develop while I was on my live. But ever since setting boundaries with them and then actually finding out who my deities are and who um, my guides and my protectors are, I haven't had that happen. Um, the only thing recently that I can recollect would probably be like the flashbacks from, as I'm doing air quotes, the past spirits passing. If it was traumatic, having essentially almost PTSD from that, and having to prevent myself and let myself know that we're going to prepare ourselves to possibly have sleep paralysis tonight. Let's try to combat that. That I am here, I am now. But I haven't had the demons coming through in a long time. But it's also when I'm talking to people about that they have these things that are hanging over them, they have free will, and I can tell them all day until I'm blue in the face that you need to do this, you need to do that. But they're not going to do that until they are ready. But I also followed it up that you were going to do what you want to do because you have free will. What I'm saying is a suggestion of how to help, but you at the end of the day are going to be the one that wins this battle.
Right. Like a lot of people, sometimes a lot of people don't realize how powerful your mind is and how you can essentially use your thoughts and your words to get the results that you want. And I feel like for me, when I'm in the position to help somebody work out, something in that manner, I feel like I spend time reminding them on how to essentially tap into your mind and your energy and how to use it, just like we would to manifest, right? To help control situations like that. And yeah, you've done such amazing work, and your progress, you progressed all the way to becoming a forensic medium. That's such a badass thing. I don't care. It is just, it is. It's such a badass thing. You travel all around the country, Um, you're a woman, It's a very powerful ability to have, being a medium, being able to do that. That's the next level.
It is. It's very much very badass energy, but it's not it's not when you try to go tell the cops, hey, I know where somebody's hidden. Let me draw you a map.
Are they like, you're now the top suspect?
Well, one of them has actually laughed at me, and I'm like, I'm telling you where they're at. Why are you laughing at me? Like, I'm giving
Yeah.
you street names. I'm giving you what you're going to find when you go out here. I'm telling you what vehicle took them out there. I'm telling you what I smelled. I'm telling you what I tasted. I can tell you the temperature of the day and what the what the climate was doing that day. Why are you not taking me serious?
It's a hit or miss. It's like 50-50. It depends on who you're talking to.
Well, I just
I think the
one.
younger the younger officers are more open to working with mediums than the older ones.
Well,
Some
I
of
just
them.
work with the family, and then if they want to introduce me to the police from there, because when I go straight to them, they're not very believing in what I do.
You know who will be? You're in healthcare.
What is
You
it?
go talk to a firefighter, they'll believe you.
That's where I'm going to start from here on out.
You talk to a firefighter, they'll tell you their own stories for sure.
I see some stuff. Well, I mean, cops do as well, but it's
Yeah,
kind of
not.
hard
Yeah,
to believe somebody that's just randomly walking up to you going, "Hey, I know where this person is." Let me
Fire
help.
and EMS are very, yeah. Fire and EMS are doing, the same thing, and they're working closer a little bit on the daily with death, and they experience these things, I think, a little bit more, and aren't so skeptical, in my opinion. But I have yet to see a firefighter not react if I ask them if they have a paranormal experience. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of firefighters that are paranormal investigators.
Yeah, I was about to say that's where either that or like the original ghost hunters or taps. They used to be rotor rooter people because people would be like, "Oh, I keep hearing this weird thing in the plumbing," and then they go in and be like, "No, you've got somebody from the 18th century just clanking on pots and pans over here."
Isn't that funny? And then when you ask an electrician, I haven't met an electric. I know one. I did one electrician who was like, yes, but I've asked. Sorry, I just tapped my headphone. But I've asked another electrician about being in a call or doing work and having, some sort of mix up with paranormal experiences. Because a lot of people will, you know, think that the electricity is paranormal activity, and it's actually electricity. It's an issue. Um, so I didn't get a lot of reaction from them. But yeah, the other thing is, fun fact, I don't know if they'll still do it because I don't know who reads the newspaper, but law enforcement historically would post in the paper for mediums to help with cold cases and investigations. Did you know that?
Didn't know that. I
Yeah,
don't think if they still do that or
it'll
it would be
probably be on their
interesting.
Facebook pages now. It would be an
Because
interesting.
I was weirdly enough, I was in Colorado, um, doing a remote view. Most of my findings are remote. I'm not even on site. That's what the funny thing is that, you know, you're not even here. Why are you, we don't believe in this bullshit.
Yeah,
There's that because I'm not even there. But I was doing a case in my hometown and, I knew the town very well. And when I went to reach out to them, they told me to actually stop because I was getting too close, um, to finding stuff out, that they were like, we need you to
yeah. Hmm.
um,
Well, I think that you're really excellent at what you do, and as
thank
long
you.
as you continue putting yourself out there, if this is something that you want to continue, I'm sure the open-minded and right departments and um, good opportunities for you to, it's hard. I'm going to say I commend you. I tried it, not intentionally. I had people messaging me from another country to help once, and I was obviously open-minded because I wanted to help. It was so stressful. It was so much for me. I completed it, but I didn't go sign up for another one, I'll tell you that. I was I felt it was gratifying, for me, but I was so overwhelmed and so I don't want to say I was so I wasn't afraid of being wrong because I'm really confident in my abilities, just like you are. I really am confident in my ability, but I was worried about wasting somebody's time at the same time. You know what I mean? I didn't want to put anybody in the wrong direction. And being online and talking to somebody from a country I've never been to, it was a lot. It all worked out, but like I said, I didn't sign up for the next one. But I did look into it. It did pique my interest, and those are the things that I learned. So I think it's awesome what you're doing. And maybe the right departments in this country listen to our podcast and reach out to you because cold cases in this country is like,
Big deal.
I think, crazy. Like, I don't think we have enough time in this lifetime to go through all of them.
Right.
Their case is over 100 years old. They're working on them. You see people posting about it all the time. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And it's getting to the point where, there's so much that the law enforcement, they just kind of have to give up, and family starts taking over, and you see them on your social media feed of, help me find this person, help me, anything that you have, just please. And it just pulls at your heartstring as, a human, for one, and then two, you're like, I would really love to help them, but I also have to take care of myself first. And there's so many, like, how do we choose which one to help and which one to let slip through our fingers?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. I do have one other question I wanted to ask you, and we're coming towards the end of our podcast. So I do want to ask you this. What do you think happens after we die? Like, what is the process that you understand from your experiences?
Well, from my experience growing up, starting out with the faith of, Christianity, of giving us a place to believe that if you were good, you would be rewarded in the afterlife and sent to heaven. And if you weren't, you were going to be punished and sent to hell. But now, the longer that I've been doing this, I've been kind to, I guess, almost drift away from that ideology of thoughts of being a good person and being punished, where I feel that hell is actually here on earth. And when we pass, that we replay or essentially go on trial of how we were as the person here. And if we were not so well, we kind of almost get our karma instantly right then and there. But if we were good, that we get the opportunity to either sign up for another go around, or that we get to rest energetically and hang out essentially in like a spa, is what I would call it. But it's also depending on how the person passes. In my perspective, if it was a traumatic fast one, their energy doesn't know that they're gone. But if
Right.
it was knew that they were slowly passing of, say, for example, cancer, that they would be able to go through the stages of grieving and actually allow the soul to fully ascend into the afterlife. But do I know? Not 100%, but this is just the things that I've come to learn and realize, that my own personal perspective of what the afterlife happens after our soul and our energy leaves our body. That is what I have come to believe and think, that is what is to happen.
Yeah, I respect that. It makes sense. A lot of people have different perceptions of that. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And it's a typical question I ask everybody on my podcast, and it's about like your most paranormal experience that comes to mind. And we already covered it. Like you we've already covered that. If anybody's listening, go re-listen 15 minutes previous to that. That's a wild experience. And I think that it's very commendable, again, of you to share that experience, with me and public live, like to our listeners, because that's a real personal thing. And, it shows people that, it's valid when these things happen. It can happen to anybody, and how to persevere through it and how to seek help. And I think that's really important. So I just wanted to say thank you again for sharing that.
Of course, when I do my lives on TikTok, I always try to end, and it is okay to not be okay, but it is not okay to not let other people know that you're not okay.
Yeah, that's very smart. And thank
Because
you.
they come to both of us when they're at rock bottom, and they look to us for guidance to help get them from the darkness.
Yeah,
It's okay to not be okay. Just let somebody know that you're not okay.
you're right. 100%. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and being a guest on my show. This has been such an amazing experience and so informative. And I hope to have you back on the show sometime in the future so we can discuss more in-depth topics, because you're just so wonderful and you have some great information, and I would love to do this again.
Would love to be back again, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. If our listeners would like to get in touch with you to book a service or a mediumship, or if law enforcement wanted to inquire about your services, how do they get in hold of you?
I do have an email as well. I'm also on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, but I'm the most active on TikTok, and I answer back through my email. Everything is pretty much going to be all one word, medium laurabeth. So it's MEDIUMLAURABETH at Gmail is my email. And then on TikTok, I have 2 accounts. One is Medium Laurabeth Main, MAIN, and then Medium Laurabeth Backup. So those are going to be the most easiest and effective way to get a hold of me. And then moving forward, if there is an appointment, I'll give them my personal phone number and can correlate that way. But if they want to get me on Instagram and Facebook as well, Medium Laurabeth is how you can find me pretty much on anything. Just Google me and you'll find me.
Love it. Thank you again so much for being here with me tonight and sharing all of your amazing knowledge and experience with us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us tonight on this Wicked Wednesday. Stay spooky, and we'll haunt you later.